Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. So today we're going to be taking a closer look at the astrological influences at play today, March 22nd, 2025. And we've got some interesting insights courtesy of Tarot by High C. We're going to be looking at some specific astrological alignments and see what kind of impact they might have on all of us. So let's get right into it.
Well, one thing that really jumps out is the potential for a bit of dissonance today. The source describes a possible difficulty connecting with oneself and others, sort of a conflict between emotional and physical needs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it suggests that you might find it a little bit challenging to be in touch with your feelings and have them align with your physical needs. You know what I mean?
Right. So like a feeling of maybe being a little off.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit off kilter. And because of this, the source actually recommends taking it easy today. You know, stay the course, lay low, don't make any major decisions or have any like super important conversations today.
Okay, so if you're feeling a little friction today, either internally or in your interactions, that could very well be the energy at play. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it? There's a shift coming later, right?
Absolutely. Tonight, things take a turn for the better. There's a shift anticipated that should bring a stronger feeling of harmony, both to our sense of self and in our relationships.
Okay.
And this shift could also usher in a sense of, new goals, new things that we want to chase after. But, the source is quick to add that we should approach these new aspirations with wisdom and care to avoid disappointment.
That's really good advice. I feel like we could all use a little bit of wisdom and care these days.
Yeah.
So new goals are always exciting. But it sounds like today is more about observation and understanding where we are right now.
I think so, yeah.
And speaking of understanding, the text really emphasizes the importance of getting clear about what we seek and desire within our connections.
Absolutely. And there's this one quote from the source material. I think it's really insightful. It says, "What appears alluring is not always fulfilling." And I think that's something really important for us to consider.
It is.
Because, we can get caught up in what seems attractive on the surface, but doesn't actually provide lasting satisfaction, especially in relationships.
Absolutely. Now, let's dive into some of the specific astrological events that are highlighted for today. First, we have the Capricorn moon square the sun happening sometime this morning. So for those of us who aren't super familiar with all the astrological lingo, what does this mean exactly?
Well, the moon, generally speaking, represents our emotional world. And in this case, it's in Capricorn, the sign associated with practicality, discipline, and responsibility.
Okay.
Now, when the moon squares the sun, which symbolizes our core identity and willpower, it indicates a bit of tension,
Oh, I see.
almost like a push and pull between our duties and responsibilities and our own individual desires and needs. It can feel a little bit like a struggle to balance those two things.
So how do we navigate that?
Well, according to the source, this alignment is all about releasing what no longer serves our growth. It's like a cosmic nudge to let go of anything that's holding us back from moving forward, whether that's old habits, limiting beliefs, or even relationships that have run their course.
Right.
So it's a time to do a little bit of inner work.
Interesting. Now, a little bit later in the day, we have Capricorn moon square, Venus RX plus Mercury happening around midday. Now, I know RX means that Venus is retrograde.
Yes, exactly.
Venus retrograde is a time we often associate with reviewing relationships and values.
That's right. It's like Venus hits the rewind button and gives us a chance to reassess those areas of life. So how does this midday alignment play out then? You've got this moon in Capricorn, which is still all about that practicality and responsibility. But now it's interacting with both Venus retrograde and Mercury.
Right.
Now, Mercury, of course, is the planet of communication and how we process information.
Right.
So it's about, trying to reconcile our practical needs with our desires, particularly in the realm of relationships and values.
Okay.
It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot between what we need to do and what we truly long for.
That makes sense. It definitely seems like a time for reflection.
It does.
Now, the source really calls out the Sun conjunct Venus retrograde as a major theme. What exactly is so significant about this particular alignment?
So this is a big one, this conjunction. It's a powerful alignment that puts a huge emphasis on relationships, finances, and our core values.
Big stuff.
Yeah, big stuff. And, it also has a strong influence on our sense of self-worth and how we show up in our connections.
So it's kind of like a double whammy.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. But you know what? It's not necessarily a bad thing. Because this conjunction happening while Venus is retrograde, it actually offers us a really valuable opportunity.
Okay, so like what?
Like, it gives us a chance to gain a lot of clarity and insight into the lessons we've been learning both this month and next. You might even experience a breakthrough in a relationship, or maybe gain some fresh perspectives on how you've been giving and receiving love.
Wow, that sounds almost like an aha moment waiting to happen.
Exactly, an aha moment.
I like that. Now, the source also talks about this alignment as an authenticity wake-up call. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So this alignment can really shine a light on, well, whether or not we're being truly authentic in our relationships and interactions, or if maybe we're just kind of playing a role that doesn't really fit us anymore. And the source makes a really great point here. It says that confidence comes from authenticity.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a good one. It means like when we're true to ourselves, when we show up as our authentic selves, that's when we really feel confident and comfortable in our own skin.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Now, there's also this suggestion to look back to the past, but there's a condition attached to it.
Yeah, that's right. The source advises us to revisit old creative projects or relationships that still hold meaning for us. Go back and take a look. But here's the catch. It says we should only do so if they align with the person we are now, not who we were back then.
Okay, so it's about making sure that those past experiences are still relevant to our current selves.
Exactly. It's not about dwelling on the past or trying to recapture something that's gone. It's about seeing if those past connections or projects still resonate with our values, our goals, and our overall sense of self today.
That's a really nuanced perspective. I like that. It's not just a blanket statement of go back to the past. It's about being discerning.
Right.
So it sounds like this whole period really emphasizes reflection rather than, jumping into action right away.
Yeah. Precisely. It's a time for gathering insights and perspectives rather than making any huge long-term decisions.
Right.
The awareness we gain now will be much more useful after Venus goes direct on April 12th.
So it's all about using this time wisely. Okay, so just to recap, today has a bit of a vibe of potential internal and external friction. But things are looking up as we move into the evening with a shift towards harmony. And this whole period really underscores the importance of taking a deep look at our relationships, our values, and our authenticity, especially with Venus retrograde in the mix.
Right. And what's really interesting to me is this idea of an authenticity wake-up call happening at a time when there's this potential for dissonance.
Yeah, that's an interesting juxtaposition.
It is. And it kind of makes me think that maybe, just maybe, that call for authenticity, that urge to be our true selves is actually the key to unlocking that evening harmony.
I like that.
What if by taking a step, even a small step, towards aligning ourselves with our authentic selves today, amidst all the potential friction, we actually pave the way for that smoother, more harmonious evening?
That's a really powerful thought. And I think it speaks to the idea that sometimes the most challenging moments can actually be the catalyst for the greatest growth and transformation.
Exactly.
So for our listeners out there, I challenge you to consider this. Think about one area of your life. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a creative pursuit where you felt like you've been playing a role that doesn't quite fit. What's one small step you can take today, even with all this potential for dissonance, to bring that area of your life more in line with your genuine self?
Yeah.
What would it look like to show up as your most authentic self in that area? Food for thought.
It is.
Well, I hope this deep dive into today's astrological energies has been helpful and insightful for you all. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.